Overtime Hockey Talk. My name is Mark Paul, and co-host Justin Baker is here. And this is a series that we've had a lot of fun with, and we still have a lot of teams left to go. But the Edmonton Oilers top 10 all-time players is on the docket for today. And if you haven't listened to our others, we have done almost well over half the teams in the NHL. So hit the subscribe button, go back to the old episodes and flush through those. They're a lot of fun. They're not time sensitive. We don't really talk a whole lot of current NHL stuff. It's all historical, I suppose. There are some current players on those lists, but it's not something that you have to be up to date with anything on. They're just a fun listen. And go find your favorite teams and let us know what you thought of those. But we are doing the Edmonton Oilers today, a list that I actually found pretty straightforward. But I'm curious to see how your list panned out. I mean, I think it's not hard to say Wayne Gretzky's number one. Like, we can just go ahead and throw that out.
Spoiler
right now.
alert!
Like, that's,
my gosh.
You know, I actually let's do this a little bit differently. Let's start at number one because we already know who number one is.
Okay.
I think it's going to be pretty clear through the first couple, and then we'll have some fun with the later guys.
Yeah, the bottom of the list is where it gets a little convoluted, and maybe you can make some arguments. The top guys are there for a reason. So
okay, so let's start at number one. Obviously,
the great one.
And I mean he had over 1,600 points with the Edmonton Oilers.
1,669 through only 696 games. That's a point per game pace of 2.398. Freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, you won't find that anywhere else.
It will never happen again. That he is more than a point per game pace than number 2 on the Oilers point per game list. Like, shut the frick up.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah. Absolutely insane. I mean, we haven't seen any lists where anybody has 1,600 points for one team. How many did Eisman have?
He didn't have 1,600.
Gordie Howe. Gordie Howe.
Yeah, 1,800.
1,800.
Yeah, for the Red Wings.
That's it. And that was, I think, the first one we did. Or one of the first. One of the first. Okay, so we got Gretzky at number one. Number two. Who is your number two all time?
Mark Messier.
Okay, I also have Mark Messier as number two. Third all-time scorer. He's got over 1,000 points, 1.215 points per game, and the over 1,100 penalty minutes to boot. So.
Which is nice. And he also, most people don't, I mean, they forget about this one a lot too, but he did win a cup in Edmonton without Gretzky.
That's true.
So, which is very impressive.
Yep. He won 5 Stanley Cups with the Edmonton Oilers. And yeah, I mean, he's one of few is he the only guy to captain 2 teams to Stanley Cup? I think he is.
He might be. Yeah, I think he is. Yeah,
because then of course he goes on and wins a cup with Rangers. I mean, you think about what that guy experienced in a 12-year span. He won the cup 5 times from 80. They won their first cup in 84 because they won 84, 85, 87, 88, 90, and then he won the cup in 94.
Yeah.
So in 10 years, he won 6 cups.
Pretty freaking sweet.
Unbelievable. So yeah, he's also my number two, and for good reason. I mean, he scored 100. More than 100 less goals than Gretzky. He scored a lot less goals than Gretzky. But he had that wrister. I was accidentally looking at someone else's stats. He had that wrister where he'd come down the wing on his off wing and just let one fly from the top of the circle. And that was kind of his claim to fame. Whereas you had Gretzky, he was like Tavares. He was good at everything. But he had this unique ability to, he had eyes in the back of his head like no one's business. He just knew where everything was in the ice.
Below the net was his home base.
He didn't have the best shot. He probably had the best hands. But he scored the most goals. Figure that one out.
He was the smartest one. That's what it really was. He was 3 steps ahead of everybody.
I think Messier probably had a better shot than Gretzky, but Gretzky scored way more goals.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a reason for that.
Now is probably where it gets a little interesting. Who's your number 3?
Mr. McDavid.
Okay, so I have him there too.
Okay. Yeah, I think when all's said and done, it would not shock me if he leads this team in games played, if he leads this team in, I don't want to say goals, but I was going to say he might be up there in terms of number 2 in points for this team. So not going to catch Gretzky in assists or points, but
maybe goals.
Maybe.
It's possible.
Yeah, it is possible, but I think he'll end up there number 2, I think, for points all time by this, if he stays, assuming, because he did. I think it was a few weeks ago where he came out in some interview and said he'll give Kenny Holland a couple years, this year and next, and then he might start asking for a trade. But assuming he stays here for his career.
I mean, we'll see how many Art Ross trophies he wins, how many Hearts he wins. Like, he's already up there in terms of other Edmonton Oilers players who have won those. I think it's only Gretzky. He's the only one who's won a Hart as an Edmonton Oiler. So that automatically is putting you're the best player in the whole league. And he's been that way pretty much since he got in. So,
right.
Very unique. You're number 4.
Jari Kurri.
Okay. Who's your number 5?
Paul Coffey.
I have them flipped.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I have them flipped because now I know Curry spent a little more time there. He put up massive points. Paul Coffey, though, barely less points per game than Jari Kurri, 0.1 less as a defenseman.
Yeah, which is pretty freaking good.
And Paul Coffey has some of the all-time records for defensemen and points in a season. Does he have the most? I think 138. He had an 85, 86. He also scored 48 freaking goals as a defenseman in 85.
They had a lethal power play. I mean,
48 goals.
Yeah,
and only 9 of them were on the power play.
Were really?
So he scored 39 goals, 5-on-5.
Well, he was an amazing skater, right? So I can only imagine he and Gretzky and Curry, man, could just line up and just outskate everybody on the ice. Would not surprise me at all.
Yeah, I mean, the guy was incredible, and Jari Kurri got to play with Gretzky and Messier, mostly Gretzky.
Mostly, yeah.
So I have to give a little bit of all right, obviously he's also a Hall of Famer, but he got to play with the best player of all time for a while.
Doesn't hurt your career. Yeah, and I think
so did Coffey, but
yeah, you can say the same with Coffey, right?
But Coffey leaves and he puts up 113 points in
but he freaking goes
89 with the Penguins.
Yeah, I know.
And they were a bad team those years.
They were getting there, but they were still pretty bad. But I mean, it was tough because when you look at both these guys, right, they both got to play with Gretzky and Messier, and so you really start to wonder, okay, were these guys products of both of those amazing centers, or were they just really good on their own right? But I don't know. So I just think at the end of the day, Jari Kurri, his production was that much better, and I don't know. I just gave just a slight tip of the cap to him for me, just because Paul Coffey wasn't there as long either. So
fair, okay. Your number 6.
Number 6. He is number 4 in games played, number 3 in goals, number 4 in points. That's Glenn Anderson.
Okay.
Yeah,
Glenn Anderson's been there. He was there for a long time.
Yeah, he was there for quite a while. He was there during those Stanley Cup winning team eras.
I believe he was there, yes, when they won the Stanley Cup all 5 times.
Yeah,
I think there's 8 guys that were there for all 5.
Yeah, I think he is one of them. But
he is one of them.
Yeah, he's another guy that again,
300-point seasons. He actually scored 54 goals twice. So
yeah, I mean, you wonder, was he a product again of Gretzky and Messier?
Of Messier, yeah, but of a great team. He also was a really good player.
He had to show up and still put the puck in the back of the net, which he did, and no knock on him at all for who he got to play with. So he was great. Can't hate.
Also had 214 playoff points in 225 games.
Yeah, freaking good.
Yeah, pretty solid. And little known fact, Glenn Anderson was actually on the New York Rangers team that won the Stanley Cup in '94.
That's right, yeah. There was one other, I think, Edmonton Oiler too. Tikkanen. Esa Tikkanen. Yeah, he was on there as well.
You got to have those 3 guys on your team to win the cup, apparently. Okay, so he's my number 7.
Okay.
My number 6 is Grant Fuhr.
He did not make my list.
Wow.
Did not make my list.
He's a Hall of Fame player.
He is a Hall of Fame player.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
And you think as a goaltender, I would have put him on this list too, but
he has the most wins by far in franchise history.
Here's a fun little tidbit for you. Do you know who leads the team in terms of save percentage all time for this team?
Well, I'm going to guess it's Cam Talbot.
It is freaking Cam Talbot. Like 912. That to me was discouraging when I really looked at it. Granted, 912 is fine. But it doesn't jump off the page, right?
Sure.
I would figure for a guy like, granted, Grant
But
Fuhr
because he had a
played
really good one season where he was at like 93, wasn't he? The year that they made the playoffs,
Right.
he was outside this world.
But even guys below him, Dwayne Rolison. To be quite honest,
90. Oh no, the year they made the playoffs, he actually was a 919.
Okay. Well, anyways, Grant Fuhr, though, to me, he never really had stats that jumped off the page and looked amazing, right?
But that's because of the time that he played.
No, I completely understand that, and so
There was in one of those years, that there was an average of 8 goals a game.
Yeah, which is just crazy to me.
So it's some of those goals are going in.
But
him.
It makes you wonder, though, sometimes it's like, okay, were the forwards and defensemen like really that much better than the goaltenders in terms of athletic ability at the time? Were the systems that screwed up where guys were just like letting loose offensively? Or were the goaltenders just really that bad?
Well, it's because the players were getting faster, the systems were changing, and goaltenders had goaltenders
they weren't catching up at the same pace.
And it wasn't until Patrick Waugh came in with the butterfly style where it really reinvented the goaltending position. So really Grant Fuhr was the best of his era, kind of like the last of his era.
Yeah, he was up there, but to me
he was just very small.
Was he really?
I think he was pretty small if I remember right.
I know he's small, but like
5'10".
Okay, yeah. So he's small by goalie standards, but
And he
I
was
don't know.
also the first African American voted into the Canadian American, African Canadian. I don't
really
Canadian African. I don't know how to. But yeah, I actually you never know when you're a kid and you just see a guy with a mask on, and then you realize, oh yeah, he's black or mixed or something. I don't know, but he's considered the first. Unless Willie O'Ree was in there first.
He got in, I think, in the 70s.
Okay,
I think.
All right. So then, I guess he's the first black goalie in the Hall of Fame. The only one, probably.
Probably,
because
actually.
I don't think Kevin Weeks is in there.
Nope. And Malcolm no.
Malcolm Subban.
He's not getting in.
No. Okay, so I'm still shocked he's not on your list, but I'll move on from that.
Move on. Leave it alone.
I am in awe.
My number 7. Let's go.
Your number 7.
A heart and soul guy, Ryan Smith.
Okay, he's my number 8.
Okay.
So
yeah, you know what? He played on a lot of Edmonton teams that weren't at the top of the league, like these '80s Oiler teams were. But he was always a guy that gave you just tremendous effort night in and night out. He still produced.
He's second all time in games played,
right,
and 6th all time in points.
And it's funny when he went to Dallas and came back to Edmonton. How many people were just so happy about that? But you weren't getting a guy back that was going to put up 60, 70 points. You were getting a guy that maybe could put up 30, 40 points. But you were just so happy to have him back just because of that impact he had on team. It was like Mike Fisher when he came back to Nashville, right? Mm-hmm. That's the type of guy he was for that team. He was just a leader in the locker room, and so
never put up huge points.
No,
his best season was 70 points. Now, granted, when he was really chugging, he was playing at a time where goal scoring was at a premium. His prime was right in the early 2000s. Had a couple several 30-goal seasons and others that were close to it. But yeah, he was one of those intangible guys.
He really was.
Just so many things about him that you maybe couldn't put onto a stat sheet.
Right. My favorite Ryan Smith moment too is when what's his face from Dallas missed that empty net blunder and he goes down the other way and puts it in to tie it up.
Yes, and I was watching that game live. So happened to be. I flipped it on the NHL package at the time and was watching it, and I'll never forget that game.
Lucky man.
The Dallas Stars still win that game. That's what they don't tell you. They actually win in overtime, and so
you're so focused on that blunder.
Nobody cared. Yeah, nobody cared. I love Ryan Smith. It became very difficult once I got beyond Glenn Anderson. I kind of looked at the list and went, well, they really haven't had that many good. They had some players that they drafted. I wanted to put Taylor Hall on this list. He does have a Hart Trophy, but not with the Oilers.
Very true.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has never panned out to be this player that you'd want to put on this list.
He's a fine player, but
he's fine. Yeah, but he's first overall pick or
He's first.
He's first.
He's first. Yeah.
Because they picked him over Sagan? No.
No. That was Taylor Hall. They picked over Sagan.
Yeah. Who did they pick? Oh, yeah. Nugent Hopkins was just in his own. He was always number one, and he was going number one. Yeah. I couldn't have him on this list. Now, let's say the Oilers have some productive playoffs and they go on to do some good things, and maybe Nugent Hopkins continues to be a part of this team, and he moves up the list in terms of points. But, like number 8 all time, Alish Hemsky. Number 9, Sean Horkoff. I don't want those players on my list for top 10 Oilers of all time. And I also don't want to put Kevin Lowe on this list.
Wow.
I didn't put him on here. You have Kevin Lowe on this.
I do have Kevin Lowe on this list.
He did play the most games ever. And then he was their GM and their coach.
He was another like heart and soul type of guy.
Yes. Yes, he was. Okay. So my number 8 was Ryan Smith. Who's your number 8?
Number 8, Dougie Waite.
Okay. Well, he's my number 9.
Okay.
So basically, you've just left Grant Fuhr off this list. And
him all shuffled down or shuffled up.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of, yeah. I guess so. But Dougie Waite, he was another one of those like just intangible guys who the production was pretty good.
Almost a point per game.
Yeah. But he never really was the best player in the league, right? Like a lot of the guys towards the top of the list. And so he played on a lot of Edmonton Oilers teams that just never really went anywhere, right? They had some okay runs. They never really went deep, never really were a big
He did
threat.
have a 104-point season in 95-96.
That's when he blew up in this league and was like, okay, this is the real deal.
He had a couple good playoffs, but could never really make it happen. Although he did in 05-06 when the Hurricanes won the Cup.
Yeah, he did.
He had a really nice playoff, 16 points in 23 games.
Yeah. I mean, he was a little bit older. He was 34 maybe at the time. I think, something like that. But yeah, so good on him. But he never really did anything with Edmonton. But he did produce. And
he put up enough points to where he had a 90 point, 82, 70, 104, 74. So like he had some nice seasons for them. They just didn't.
They weren't good teams.
They didn't go far in the playoffs. They were also always running into Dallas or Edmonton or San Jose or
Detroit, Colorado.
Somebody that right, exactly. Yeah, it was Colorado. I remember they played Colorado. They beat Dallas one year in the first round. It was in '98.
Okay, yeah,
and it was Curtis Joseph.
Right,
Cooter Joseph.
Cooter.
Where in Game 7, Joe Nieuwendyk gets like a one-timer feed right in the crease, and Joseph dives across and
puts
it down, looks under his glove, and is in shock. And that's the best save I've ever seen in my life.
Okay,
you can go look up Curtis Joseph, Dallas Stars, Edmonton Oilers, Game 7. You'll find it. Curtis Joseph didn't make my list either.
No.
Yeah, didn't. Only played like 2 seasons or 3 seasons with the Oilers. So my number 9's Doug Waite. Who's yours?
Taylor Hall.
Okay, he did make your list.
Yeah, he did make my list. I mean, he like we talked about, he was never a Hart Trophy guy when he was with this team, but he was really talented, right? But he had zero help around him, right? I mean, there was nobody. He didn't have a centerman yet. Nugent Hopkins was just developing. He was still a young pup. I mean, he was all that team was, and it's kind of reminiscent of Connor McDavid, from a couple of years ago when he was all the team had. But I mean, now Connor McDavid is just, I mean, he's always been a freakishly talented guy, way better than Taylor Hall. But Taylor Hall still produced. He still went out there and performed and put up a lot of freaking points. And it was unfortunate that he had to get moved for Adam freaking Larson. Are you freaking kidding me?
Good trade, guys.
Yeah, because I could only imagine right now Taylor Hall on McDavid's wing. They would have locked him up for an extension already, and he would have, I mean, freaking A, dude.
He wouldn't have won a Hart.
No, probably not, because Connor McDavid would have fed him for 50 goals easily, and then Leon Draisaitl would have definitely been a center playing on the second line.
That is very true.
Changes everything.
Yeah, I don't have them on my list because they never made the playoffs.
Man, that's true.
Can't have you on the list if you never made the playoffs.
It's hard, for sure.
Although, maybe I do. Maybe I just went against my number 10, who I'm not sure he has ever made the playoffs. Oh, he did. Okay, good. Yeah. He was there. He was there.
I was going to say, you do forget that a couple years ago Edmonton did go, but...
Well, I couldn't remember if Leon Draisaitl was
the guy yet?
Was on their team at that.
This
time.
is when he blew up.
Because that was his rookie season.
Yeah, this is when he blew
17.
up.
Oh, no. Sorry, it was his rookie season was 15-16. Okay, so this is his fifth year in the league. No, his sixth year in the league. Wow, I didn't realize he was so old. Okay, my number 10 is Leon Draisaitl.
Okay, yeah. He made my just miss just because I need a couple more seasons out of him before I knock Taylor Hall.
He's had 6.
I need a couple more. I just need a couple more. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
You know what? He was never really. He was.
You realize they both have the exact same amount of points.
Yeah, I know, and he's played like 20 less games than Taylor Hall has.
And they have the same amount of points,
which is great. But also, Leon Draisaitl has played with McDavid a ton over the last year and a half, 2 years. So
that's not his fault.
It's not his fault, not at all. So that's why I just give a little slight tip of the cap to Taylor Hall. And I think in a couple of years, then he's going to knock Kevin Lowe and Taylor Hall off these lists, and he'll jump ahead of these guys easily. But for me, number 10, Kevin Lowe, I just think, again, he's just one of those rock-solid guys. Never was a big point producer, but to me, I had to put him on here.
Not a great GM.
Not a great GM, no. Not at all.
That ran to the
but
team
we ain't
into the ground.
talking top 10 GMs, so...
destroyed the team and their future, but hey...
Well, that's another discussion we can have. So
I thought about putting Chris Pronger on this list at number 10.
I mean,
because he may be the most impactful one season of any Oilers player to only play one season.
That's fair. I mean, he came in. They
took
him to the finals.
They went to the finals, game 7.
Almost.
Yeah, then Curtis Joseph and Taylor Hall on my just missed.
Yeah, Issa Tikkanen. Yeah, also made my just missed in Grant Fuhrer. So
yep. Issa Tikkanen kind of like when you're like, all right, Gretzky, Curry, Messier, Anderson, Coffey, and then I also had Fuhrer. I was like, that's 6 guys from the same team. I felt like I needed to.
It's hard to put in. Yeah, like okay.
Like and then that Ryan Smith and Doug Waite, where you're like, yeah, you guys were good, but you were on these like kind of halfway, like first round, second round Oilers teams.
Right.
But, it was a fun list. It was more fun than I thought. I thought it'd be more cut and dry, but I guess it wasn't.
Well, the back end was.
Who should we do next?
Let's see. So we're in the West here. Let's go East.
We are in the West, yes.
Yeah. So
we haven't done the old Florida Panthers yet. I don't think
we have not. No, I do not see them on my list of teams.
I would love to do the Florida Panthers.
Okay, let's do the Florida Panthers.
Okay,
this will be interesting.
On our next show, our next top 10 at least. We will do the Florida Panthers. Also, we'll be doing the top wingers in the league as well. So look for that episode. Thanks for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at OT Hockey Talk as well on Instagram. And hey, if you know other people that like hockey and they like podcasts, you should probably tell them about our show because, I mean, you know how great it is. So just let other people know.
Wow.
Hey, why not? All right, we'll talk to you guys soon.